return. Local Decision 2022 Election Day is coming up, November 8th, not that far away. And joining us in studio, Brad Johnson, who is running for Anoka County Attorney. Brad, thanks for stopping by.
Well, thanks for having me in. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about my vision for the County Attorney's Office.
Yeah, and the folks in Coon Rapids know you well. You're on the City Council, and you also work for Child Protection in Hennepin County. So
That's right.
You are a busy guy, aren't you?
I'm very busy. Feels like I have 3 jobs, sometimes 4 with this campaign. So I'm dad to 2 children. You know, I'm a prosecutor and a child protection lawyer in Hennepin County. And at night, I'm a Coon Rapids City Council member.
And then you add running for Anoka County Attorney to your plate. So you're juggling a lot. How do you find the time to get out there, meet and greet, knock on the doors, and tell people, I'm the guy for this job?
Yeah, long days, short nights. You know, it's all about the effort. But I really enjoy getting out in the community. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy sharing my vision with them about criminal justice and criminal justice policy, but also how we can do local government better.
Why are you running?
Well, Anoka County is home to me. I love Anoka County, and I genuinely care for all the citizens in Anoka County. People are very important to me. That's why I've served on the Coon Rapids City Council at night. You know, I could choose to spend my nights differently, but caring for people is really important. That's also why I'm a child protection attorney. Anoka County is, and has always been, in my mind, home. It's the place where we raise our children. And I believe, with my background and my experience, I can really make a positive difference in our local government and the criminal justice system.
Your job in Hennepin County and then being on the Coon Rapids City Council, is that a good pathway, a foundation for maybe getting this job as an Anoka County Attorney? Will that serve you well?
I believe it will. Not only do I have the breadth of experience, and I think I have the most diverse and deepest experience of any candidate in this race, I've done just about every job that there is to do in a county attorney's office. I've represented people on the civil side. I've represented large organizations, had about 10 years in private practice at 2 national law firms, but also have done criminal prosecution work. I've prosecuted murders, sex assaults, been on the sex crimes team in Hennepin County. And I'm a child protection lawyer, so I've represented Hennepin County Child Protection in some of their worst physical and sexual abuse cases involving children. That's a big responsibility in Hennepin County. But I'm also a city council member in Coon Rapids, so I've built those relationships in the community. I've been responsive to the community for 8 years, 2 terms on the Coon Rapids City Council. And I think the Coon Rapids City Council has really improved Coon Rapids in the last 8 years. We work well together. We collaborate on things. There are things where we have differences on them, but we work them out. I think those relationships will help me along the way as county attorney. And I look forward to the opportunity of serving in a different capacity in the years to come.
So you're like the middle rung on the legal ladder. So you have the arrests and the charges are made, and then you actually have a trial if it goes that far, but you're in the middle. How do you decide whether or not, okay, you're going to press charges?
So I take an approach where you charge the thing that happened, and then you sentence the person. So one of the things that a county attorney is a prosecutor. So again, there are those 2 functions. There's representing the county board and the county departments, but there's also the chief prosecutor for all felony and juvenile crime in the county. When you're looking at the prosecution side of things, I think it's important that we uphold the laws of Minnesota, that we enforce those laws, and that we give our best effort at prosecuting the cases that law enforcement submits to us. But as we're doing that job, we have to remember that a county attorney is also a minister of justice. We have to look at the person and take a person-centered approach to how we handle cases in the office. And I think that's really important. Too many times I've heard in county attorneys' offices, because of heavy caseloads, move the paper. The reality is the job of a county attorney is not to deal with paper. The job of a county attorney is to deal with people. And so I think it's important when we're dealing with people in the criminal justice system, when we're sentencing offenders, that we give them an opportunity for redemption and reentry into our society if they're held accountable first. Accountability must come first, and then an opportunity for redemption and reentry. And I have a plan to do that.
Law enforcement has certainly been in the bullseye in the last few years. And specifically here in the Twin Cities, which has been an epicenter for high-profile cases, George Floyd, Philando Castile, Dante Wright, et cetera. Is law enforcement evolving as we speak?
Law enforcement is certainly evolving, and on the Coon Rapids City Council, I see that on a day-to-day basis. We have in Coon Rapids a multicultural advisory committee that the police chief has started, and that has been an important factor in our community. It actually puts police officers, especially the younger police officers, in touch with people of different temperaments, talents, convictions, backgrounds, and experiences in the community. We've added a social worker to our law enforcement department, our Coon Rapids Police Department, to work on those mental health cases that come in that perhaps don't need a full police response to them. Those are things that are important, but also I think things are evolving in the prosecution of use of force cases as well. I'm not a big fan of taking cases where an officer is accused of violating someone's rights or harming someone in a way, breaking the law, and then outsourcing that to the Attorney General's office. I do not think that you solve the problems with a lack of confidence in the criminal justice system by some people by just substituting a hyper-partisan elected for another elected. The county attorney takes an oath to the citizens of Anoka County and to the people that live here that they're going to follow the law, they're going to look at the facts, they're going to make an honest call considering the constitutions of Minnesota and the United States, and then they're going to explain their decision to the community. I think there are ways that we can do criminal justice better, but I expect that in the future I'm going to be handling those cases here in Anoka County and not outsourcing them unless there is a true conflict of interest. And then we're ethically bound to conflict those cases out. And if that's the case, I'm going to look for a non-political prosecutor to handle them, one who is not caught up in a lot of the politics that we see with the Attorney General's office.
As you watch from the sidelines in Hennepin County, specifically with George Floyd and Mike Freeman, then Keith Ellison comes in. Of course, that was high profile. That was global.
Sure.
But that could happen in Anoka County. You never know.
Yeah.
How do you block out that noise? How do you make that decision? Okay, I'm going to prosecute, or I'm not going to prosecute, or I'm going to farm it out to another county. How do you come to that conclusion?
I think it's by having experience and having done it for years and having handled thousands of cases over the years, and also by having the trust and confidence of your community. So if you know that the community trusts you to make the right decision, there'll be people that'll quarrel with your decisions all the time. That is part of our justice system, is to have people that have disagreeing views or that disagree with the way you might handle things. But if you've got the trust and confidence of your community, and you've got the experience to make a good decision, and you focus on the facts and the law, and you agree that you're going to be transparent and help explain to your community the decisions you make and why you make them, I think it's a lot easier than you think. But I think it also starts with having a plan, and the plan is to build confidence with law enforcement. And you can see this on my website. It's bradforanoka.com under the Vision tab. But the website includes strengthening the relationships between the county attorney's office and law enforcement by assigning a relationship attorney with each of our law enforcement agencies throughout the county. But it also includes having a citizens advisory committee for the county attorney so that when there are issues about how we handle things, whether it be no-knock warrants, whether it be use of force cases and how we're going to deal with them, I can get the benefit of the different experiences and talents and perspectives of people in the community so that we can do it better in the future.
Anoka County has a large footprint. Linwood Township to the north.
That's our only township.
Yes.
It's the only one left.
And as you know, the demographics change
Yeah.
as you go through the county, and there certainly has been an influx of newcomers who have come here. How do you make sure that everybody feels like they're treated fairly and you care about everyone, every group, every race, every religion?
Well, I think it's by being out there. And so I view the county attorney role perhaps a little differently than some of my colleagues and some of my, my opponent. I don't view it as a management job. I view it as a leadership job. Certainly management is a component of it, but you manage things and you manage processes, you lead people. So you have to get out there in the community, which I am out there in the community. People know me and they know that I'm accountable and have been as a Coon Rapids City Council member. And that's certainly something that I've done to build those relationships around the community. I'm on the Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council. I'm the Coon Rapids representative on that. And so I'm out there in that capacity talking to all the chiefs of police. But also I think you need to look at your own office. And when I look at the Anoka County Attorney's Office and I talk to the people in the office, here's what they have said to me. They characterize the office as stale, male, and pale. That's the words that they have used to me to describe the office. I think having an office where you're more intentional about your recruiting, where you seek out people and value people with different temperaments, talents, experiences, and convictions and backgrounds, adds value to your office. And if the office better reflects the community will have more confidence in the decisions it makes. But it also means being accessible to people.
President Joe Biden wants to stop prosecuting petty marijuana offenses. How do you respond to that?
President Biden isn't alone. The current county attorney's office has decriminalized lower level drug offenses in Anoka County. I disagree with that. When the legislature passes a criminal law, it is saying to our state and the community, these are things that are a problem, and if they come up in your community, we want you to address them. So even the lower level drug offenses can't be ignored as they are currently in the Anoka County Attorney's Office. There's actually a written policy on fifth-degree drug offenses in the Anoka County Attorney's Office where they say, if it's this level of a crime, we're not going to charge it. I disagree with that because usually what happens is that person comes into contact with law enforcement. That's the way we learn about it. And when that person comes into contact with law enforcement, that's a signal that there may be a problem here. And if law enforcement identifies that they violated a criminal law, well, then we are obliged to deal with it. Now, does that mean we have to file criminal charges on everybody? No, not necessarily. In some cases, we'll look at the person, as I described earlier, you look at the person, and we'll decide that that person needs to go into our criminal justice system and be charged. Other times, we'll look at the person, or perhaps what happened, and say, you might have a problem, but we can deal with it outside the court if you agree to be accountable for the decisions that you made. And what that means is we need to have a pre-charge diversion program. Now, I will tell you, my opponent canceled the pre-charge diversion program in the Anoka County Attorney's Office, which candidly was a model for the nation. The stated reason was that about 51% of the people reoffended. I guess I'm a glass half full kind of guy, as opposed to a glass half empty kind of guy. If 49% of the people were successful in pre-charge diversion without having to go into court, that's a win in my book. That saved the court system nearly half of all the lower level drug offenses that we qualified for pre-charge diversion. And I think that's a benefit to society when you are able to deal with somebody's problem and also keep them from having the collateral consequences of that conviction. But they have to sign something first that says, I admit that I did it, to get into the program. Accountability first, then we'll give them an opportunity for redemption.
From a legal perspective, should Minnesota legalize marijuana? Obviously, a lot of states in the union have. What do you think should happen?
I'm open to people having a conversation about that. Currently, it's not legal, except we do have a new change in the law on edibles. The problem I see as a child protection lawyer and also as a prosecutor is the gateway to other things or the things that impact families. So I currently deal with a lot of situations where young children are having access to what were used to be controlled substances or are now perhaps legalized. We have to be very careful about how we deal with the issue of marijuana, whether it be THC in edibles or THC that's being smoked or pills or other things. And the reason I say that is that you don't want to go from a situation where it was illegal and a lower level criminal offense, but you could kind of deal with it in your community, to a situation where now it's a child protection problem. Certainly adults who are either have a medical marijuana license or who are just buying edibles, I don't have an issue with that. And we actually in Coon Rapids just implemented a local ordinance that regulates edibles in Coon Rapids, because when the legislature passed that bill on edibles, it didn't really give any guidance to the local communities. Look, the job of the county attorney is to follow the law. It doesn't matter whether you agree with it or disagree with it as an individual. My job is to carry out the law, but to do it in a just manner. And that's what I commit to do for Anoka County.
Brad, thanks for stopping by.
I enjoyed it.
Good luck on Election Day.
Thank you very much, Eric.
All right. He's Brad Johnson, running for Anoka County Attorney. This is Local Decision 2022.